Colosseum, death and entertainment. 50,000 Romans are screaming for blood. A terrified man stands in the sand staring down a Bengal tiger. He has no armor, no weapon, no chance. This isn't murder, it's entertainment. And in 80 AD Rome, this is just another Thursday afternoon at history's most infamous arena. Welcome to the Colosseum, where death wasn't just a spectacle, it was the greatest show on earth. The year is 72 AD. Emperor Vespasian has a problem. Rome is recovering from civil war, the treasury is depleted, and the people are restless. His solution? Build the largest amphitheater the world has ever seen, right on top of Nero's despised palace lake. A monument so magnificent, so audacious, that it would make Romans forget their troubles and remember the power of their empire. But here's what Hollywood never tells you. The Colosseum wasn't just built with Roman engineering genius. It was built with Jewish slave labor. Over 100,000 prisoners from the siege of Jerusalem were forced to construct their own arena of death. The blood that would later stain the arena floor began flowing long before the first gladiator ever stepped into the sand. 8 years later, in 80 AD, Vespasian's son Titus inaugurated the completed amphitheater with 100 days of games. 100 days. 5,000 animals slaughtered, countless gladiators dead, and the Romans, they loved every minute of it. But the animals and gladiators were just the warm-up act. The real horror was yet to come. Beneath your feet as you stood in the Colosseum lay a labyrinth of nightmares. The Hippodrome, an underground network of tunnels and chambers spanning 2 full stories, was the backstage of death itself. Here, in the darkness, gladiators waited in cells, their sweat mixing with fear. Wild animals prowled in cages, their roars echoing through stone corridors, and elaborate stage machinery prepared to deliver them all into the sunlight and slaughter above. Imagine this. You're a condemned criminal, standing on a wooden platform in the dark. Above you, a trapdoor. You hear the mechanisms grinding, feel the platform rising. Suddenly you burst through the arena floor like a demon from hell, and 50,000 people cheer as a lion charges toward you. You weren't sentenced to death. You were sentenced to become part of the show. The Romans called these executions damnatio ad bestias, condemnation to the beasts. Christians, criminals, prisoners of war, they were dressed as mythological characters and forced to reenact famous death scenes. One moment, you're Orpheus with his lyre. The next, you're being torn apart by bears while the orchestra plays. But here's the twisted genius. The Colosseum could be flooded. That's right, flooded. Using aqueducts and drain systems, Romans filled the arena with water for naumachia, mock naval battles with real ships, real weapons, and real casualties. Condemned prisoners fought to the death on sinking vessels while Romans ate honey-roasted dormice and debated philosophy. Yet nothing, absolutely nothing, matched the savage choreography of the gladiators themselves. Forget Russell Crowe. Real gladiators were more complex, more fascinating, and far more tragic than any Hollywood version. First, most gladiators didn't die in the arena. Shocking, right? Gladiators were expensive investments, trained athletes who cost their owners fortunes. The death rate was closer to 1 in 10, not every fight. When a gladiator fell, they could appeal for mercy, and the crowd or the emperor decided their fate. That famous thumbs-down gesture? Historians still debate what it actually meant. The truth has been lost to time, buried in the same sand that soaked up so much blood. But here's what makes it darker. Some gladiators were volunteers. Free men who signed contracts received signing bonuses and became ancient celebrities. Women went crazy for them. Children collected action figures bearing their likenesses. Successful gladiators became wealthy, famous, and powerful. One gladiator, Flamma, won his freedom 4 times and chose to return to the arena 4 times. He fought 34 battles and died in the sand he refused to leave. Why? Because outside the Colosseum, he was nothing. Inside, he was a god. Different types of gladiators fought in carefully choreographed matchups. The Murmillo with his fish-crested helmet faced the Retiarius, with his net and trident, sword and shield against speed and range. The Dimachorus wielded 2 swords simultaneously. The Sagittarius fought with bow and arrow. Each match was a tactical chess game, and the crowd were connoisseurs who could debate fighting styles like modern sports fans argue about football formations. But the Colosseum's appetite for death would ultimately consume itself. The numbers are staggering. Over the Colosseum's 350 years of operation, an estimated 400,000 people died in its arena. 1 million wild animals were slaughtered. Entire species hunted to extinction for Roman entertainment. North African elephants, Mesopotamian lions, Caspian tigers, gone, erased from the earth to satisfy Rome's bloodlust. The economic cost was equally devastating. Emperors bankrupted themselves trying to outdo their predecessors' games. Trajan celebrated his Dacian victory with 123 consecutive days of games involving 10,000 gladiators and 11,000 animals. The empire was spending its wealth not on infrastructure, not on military defense, but on increasingly elaborate ways to kill things in public. Some emperors became dangerously obsessed. Commodus, yes, the one from Gladiator, actually fought in the arena himself, though he rigged the matches and fought crippled opponents. He claimed to have killed over 1,000 animals personally, shooting them from the safety of a platform while calling himself the reincarnation of Hercules. He was eventually strangled in his bath by a wrestler, proving that even an emperor who loved death could not escape it. Christianity's rise slowly poisoned the Colosseum's purpose. The early martyrs died there, torn apart by animals while refusing to renounce their faith. Their courage in the face of death inspired conversions. Ironically, the arena designed to demonstrate Roman power became the stage where that power began to crumble. The last gladiatorial games were held in 435 AD. The last animal hunts in 523 AD. By then, the Western Roman Empire had fallen, and the Colosseum stood as a monument to a civilization that had devoured itself with its own appetite for spectacle. So what can this blood-soaked ruin teach us today? Stand in the Colosseum today and you're standing in humanity's mirror. We want to believe we've evolved beyond such barbarism, but have we? We watch death in movies, violence in video games, brutality in combat sports. We're drawn to true crime podcasts and gladiatorial political debates. We cancel careers and destroy reputations for entertainment while eating snacks. The Romans weren't monsters, they were us. Without the thin veneer of civilization we pretend makes us different. They convinced themselves the violence had purpose. Justice for criminals, glory for warriors, reverence for the gods. We tell ourselves similar stories. The Colosseum's most terrifying lesson isn't about Roman cruelty. It's about human nature. Given the right circumstances, any society can normalize horror. Ancient Romans brought their children to watch executions. They cheered as people died in elaborate theatrical productions. They turned slaughter into an art form, and they never questioned whether they should. For nearly 4 centuries, the most advanced civilization on Earth gathered in humanity's largest stadium to watch things die. They didn't see themselves as evil. They saw themselves as sophisticated, cultured, superior to the barbarians at their borders. Sound familiar? The Colosseum still stands, partially ruined by earthquakes and stone robbers, but standing. Every year, 7 million people visit it, walking the same paths where gladiators marched to their potential deaths. They take selfies where people once bled. They marvel at the engineering while standing above the hypogeum where nightmares were manufactured. The Colosseum is more than ancient history. It's a warning carved in stone and soaked in blood. It reminds us that entertainment can become addiction, that spectacle can blind us to suffering, and that the distance between civilization and savagery is shorter than we'd like to believe. The question isn't whether we're better than the Romans. The question is, what are we willing to overlook for our own entertainment? If this deep dive into history's darkest arena captivated you, slam that like button and subscribe for more historical stories that Hollywood won't tell you. Drop a comment. What ancient structure should we explore next? The pyramids? The Great Wall? You decide, and we'll bring history to life. See you in the next one.